Yes. So until here, about the properties of colloids, we have already studied. About Brownian motion and the Tyndall effect, we have studied. Now we are going to study today about the third category, that is suspensions. This is
Excuse
the
me,
third category. Yes, Anshika.
ma'am. Will you explain, ma'am, tender, ma'am, again?
Tyndall effect.
Yes, ma'am, tender.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. So there are two properties of colloids. Colloids are the materials which have the particle size of 1 nanometer to 100 nanometers. Now there are certain properties of colloids. Out of them, we have two most important properties by the perspective of your examinations. Those two properties are the Brownian motion, and the second one is the Tyndall effect. So what happens in the Brownian motion? This is the zigzag motion of the colloidal particles when a beam of light passes through them. Whenever some beam of light passes through the colloidal particles, their particles start doing the zigzag motion, as you can see in this figure. So this is called the Brownian motion because this was discovered by a scientist, Robert Brown. That is why the name has been given on his name only. Okay. Now the next property is the Tyndall effect. So what about the Tyndall effect?
Ma'am, your
What
voice is
happens?
not clear. It is cracking a little bit.
Is it not clear to anyone?
Ma'am, it is clear.
True.
Ma'am, it is clear,
Aryan,
ma'am.
yeah, yeah, I know it is clear. Aryan, actually, I too cannot listen to your voice properly. It's coming, it's not coming properly. It means that you are having some kind of network issue. Okay, so just check it. Sit at some
Okay,
place
ma'am.
where the networks are proper. So what about the Tyndall effect? In Tyndall effect, the path of the beam of light becomes clear. The path of the beam of light becomes clear as soon as that beam of light passes through a colloidal solution. And this is the property of only the colloids and the suspensions. It doesn't show this property is not shown in case of the true solution. As you can see in this picture, the first one is the true solution in which the particle size is less than 1 nanometer. Since the particle size is less than 1 nanometer, this is a homogeneous mixture. True solutions are homogeneous mixtures, and we cannot differentiate between the particles of true solution. So that's why the path of light doesn't get visible in case of true solution. But as we reach the higher particle size, for example, the colloids or the suspension, the light source, the path of light which is coming from some light source. For example, in this figure, the light is coming from a torch. So the path of light, as soon as it passes through the colloid, for example, in this colloid, we have taken the milk as an example. So you can perform this activity at your home also. All you need is to sit in a dark room because this effect will not be visible if you are sitting in a lighted room. If you are sitting in a well lit room having all type of lights coming from outside or the artificial lights, then this effect cannot be seen. You have to perform this activity in a dark room. Okay, so you have to take some amount of milk in a glass. Milk is available at everyone's house, and also the source of light is also present everywhere. You can even use the torch of your phone. Okay, so as soon as this beam of light passes through the colloid, the path of the light, the path of this beam of light becomes visible. You can see from where and what type of path the light source is taking. What nature of the path of light you can easily see in that colloidal solution. So you can perform this activity. Actually, this is an experimental thing which you can easily perform at your home, and you can understand about it more. You can understand better by performing this activity. So I hope you can perform this activity very easily, and this concept is also clear. Now the third category of materials of the third category of heterogeneous mixtures are the suspensions. We have been studying about the heterogeneous mixtures, and under the heterogeneous mixtures we have two types of mixtures. The first one are the colloidal solutions, and about the colloidal solution we had studied 8 types of colloidal solutions by making the different types of classification. We had done we had taken solid, liquid and gas and had categorized them in groups. So, and that way we could find that there are 8 types of colloidal solutions possible. Now we have the suspensions, the particles which have the size of more than 100 nanometer. The particles present in these type of mixtures are more than 100 nanometer. That is why it becomes really very easy to differentiate between the particles. We can observe those particles even with naked eyes. We do not need any microscope to observe the particles. We can do that with the help of just naked eyes. Now let us take an example. I have taken calcium hydroxide, that is lime water. That also I had given in the exam, in the test, that you had to tell me if lime water is a pure substance or not. If it's a pure substance or it's a mixture.
Pure substance.
Yeah.
Pure substance.
Yeah, that was a pure substance because it is a compound. It is a compound formed by the elements. What are the elements? Calcium, oxygen, and hydrogen. 3 elements are present in this lime water, that is calcium hydroxide. As I had told you, OH is called hydroxide. So what would you name this compound as? This is called calcium hydroxide, as Ca uh, is the by Ca we represent calcium. So this is calcium hydroxide. When we react calcium hydroxide with carbon dioxide, a compound, a product is formed which is known as calcium carbonate. And what is the property of this calcium carbonate? It is a white precipitate. Precipitate I had told you earlier, very far ago, in the starting only, I guess. And that is, in short, it is known as PPT. SPPT. And now what is precipitate? This Aryan Chaturvedi, you have to tell me what a precipitate it is. If you had attended that class on that day. Aryan Chaturvedi, had you attended the class in which I had made you understand about the precipitate?
No, ma'am.
No,
due to
ma'am.
network connection, I didn't attend it.
Okay. Then Anshika Sharma, do you know what a precipitate is? Anshika Sharma, are you there, or just you have just opened the class and wandering here and there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Yeah. So what is precipitate? Do you know or not?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then this will be told by. Okay, Rajkumar Yadav, this is ma'am, not sir. You had to write present ma'am, not present sir. Next one is Keshav Chauhan. Do you know what a precipitate is? Just tell me in the chat box who can tell me what a precipitate is.
Ma'am, may I tell?
Yes, Piyush, go on.
Ma'am, precipitate is a solid suspension from a liquid.
Solid suspension. Okay. So what a precipitate is, whenever you react two compounds, then a third product is formed. The product is formed whose properties are completely different than those of the reactants. The lime water was soluble in water, carbon dioxide is a gas, and this calcium carbonate which we have got after the reaction is a solid. And what is the property of solid? That solid will settle at the bottom and only liquid will remain at the top. this solid, which is known as precipitate, which is of white color in this case, will settle down at the bottom. So precipitate is the non-soluble solid which settles down at the bottom of the container in which we are performing the reaction. Okay, this is what a precipitate is, and it is non-soluble. It is insoluble in liquid. And along with calcium carbonate, we have got water. As you can see, I have told you that if we are performing the experiment in a test tube or any other beaker, that at the top only water is there and at the bottom precipitate is there. That is why in the product side we have written CaCO3 plus H2O, because at the upper side we have water and at the bottom we have the calcium carbonate, which is a precipitate and it is non-soluble in water. So that's why this equation justifies what we get in the experiment. So this thing which we have got, it will be called a suspension because it has formed two layers. The first layer is the liquid, means you can call it the phase also. Two-phase system we have got in the case of suspension. First one is the liquid phase and the other one is the solid phase. And we can differentiate between these two phases very easily, even with the help of our naked eyes. We do not want any kind of microscope or any other equipment to observe this thing. At the top we have got the liquid and at bottom we have got the solid thing. So two phases have been formed, the liquid phase and the solid phase. So these are the properties of suspensions that we get in this two phases. Okay. So how can you define suspension? You can define suspension as the, just wait. Yeah, you can define suspension as the heterogeneous mixtures in which solid particles are spread throughout the liquid without dissolving. Means if you have not let it to settle down, if you have not let the particles to settle down and they are in continuous motion, then those solid particles are spread in the liquid without dissolving. Those solid particles are not dissolving in the water. They are just moving here and there. For example, the muddy water, then the chalk water. Okay, these are the examples of suspensions. And what is the property of these? That after a certain time, the time can vary for different types of mixtures. After certain time, what will happen? That the solid particles will settle at the bottom and at the top only liquid or water particles will remain. So these are the properties of suspension. This we have already discussed, that the particle size is greater than 100 nanometer and two phase system will be formed, that is solid phase and the liquid phase. This also we have studied that we can easily see the particles with naked eyes. And the other thing is that these particles can easily be separated with the help of ordinary filter paper. We do not want any kind of special filter paper for these type of particles. If you are using an ordinary filter paper and pouring the mud water in that filter paper, the solid particles will remain at the top of the filter paper and only the liquid particles will pass through that filter paper. So we can easily separate the solid and liquid particles by using a simple filter paper. Now the next one is that the suspension is unstable. Now what is the meaning of unstable? Remember that in colloidal solutions we had studied about
Stable, ma'am. They are stable.
they are stable. Yes, exactly. In colloidal solutions, and these are the suspensions. Now what happens in the colloidal solutions? The water as well as the particles are in continuous motion, because colloidal mixture, the particles are like in nature. They have similar kind of charges. So similar charges repel each other, and due to the continuous repulsion in between the particles, they are continuously moving in random directions, That is why we call it the stable solution. In the next one, suspensions. And what happens in the suspension? That due to the more weight of the particles, since the size of the particles is more than 100 nanometer, it's obvious that the weight of those particles will be greater than that of the solvent. Solvents जो भी हम लेंगे, any solvent we can take, it can be water, it can be acetone, it can be alcohol. So the particles which will have the greater weight in comparison to the solvent will settle down at the bottom after a certain time. I'm not saying that they will settle down just at that time only. You will have to give some time to it so that they will settle down at the bottom. After a certain time, what will happen? At the top only the liquid particles will remain. Only water will remain. And do you know what this process is called? The settling down of the solid particles at the bottom. What is it called?
Sedimentation.
Sedimentation.
Yeah, exactly. This is called sedimentation. And after we pour the clear water in some other container, that process is called decantation. So about sedimentation and decantation, you have already studied in your earlier classes. So this was about all about the suspensions. It was very easy to understand. Out of all three, suspensions were the easiest to understand.
Excuse
Yeah.
me, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes,
can,
Akhilesh?
ma'am, can you please explain, ma'am, the upper, ma'am, 6 points, ma'am, as I have joined, ma'am, now. Ma'am,
You have
because
just joined.
yes,
Okay,
ma'am,
Akhilesh, listen, I am doing a recording of this video, and after this, I'm going to upload this on YouTube. Okay, and you can understand all these concepts from there also. You just text me after the class to send you the video, and I'll send you the link of that video.
okay, ma'am.
Okay, whoever has joined late, they can ask from me for the YouTube link. Then I'll send the link only to those students.
Ma'am, please
Now
send
the
it on group.
No, I will
On
not
YouTube,
send it on
ma'am,
the group. No, not on the group. Only to the students who are unable, who had joined late,
Excuse me,
and the students who have a genuine reason of not taking the class.
excuse
If
me,
you are
ma'am.
taking, yes, Anshika.
Ma'am, you have sent the video on group earlier, ma'am. When I was seeing that video, ma'am, the voice was too low, ma'am.
Yeah, it was too low. So I had also told you, I guess, that you have to go in a room at the corner and you just have to plug in the earphones. And that way the voice was audible. I had also checked it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. It's just, I think it's because of the network issue. Maybe the voice is low. Now we are moving forward. We have completed the homogeneous mixtures, the heterogeneous mixtures. Under heterogeneous mixtures, we have studied colloidal solutions and suspensions. And under homogeneous mixtures, we have discussed something about the true solutions. Homogeneous mixtures are also called the true solutions. Now, after this, we are going to study some of the methods of separation of the mixtures. You know that compounds cannot be separated by physical methods. And in this chapter, we will just focus on the physical methods. We are not going into the detail of chemical methods of separation. We are just studying about the physical methods of separation. And you know very well that physical methods can be used just for the separation of mixtures, not the compounds. So we are going to study some of the methods. Before this, there is an example of suspensions in this picture that this is, for example, mud solution, mud plus water. And before settling, how did it look like? It looked like this one, that mud particles are also floating along with the water molecules. Means mud or clay particles and water molecules, both of them are floating along with each other. But after settling, after a few minutes or after some time, the clay particles or the mud particles will settle at the bottom, and at the top only water particles will remain. So this is the example of suspensions. Now there are next topic we have is the separation of components of a mixture. So the first method which we are going to study is the centrifugation. About centrifugation, you must have studied earlier also, maybe not in much detail. So
Yes,
what
ma'am.
happens in what happens in the centrifugation? It is a method of separating the suspended particles of a substance from a liquid in which the mixture is rotated at high speed in a centrifuge. That equipment which is used for the separation of substances by the process of centrifugation, that equipment is called centrifuge. This is the spelling. Actually, you must have seen the traditional methods of centrifugation also, in which earlier the ladies used to just rotate it manually by using the hands. But nowadays we have, as the technology is there, we have got the electrical equipment also. We don't have to do much hard work to do the process of centrifugation. We have got the machines nowadays, and all the things are done by the machines. So what happens that, for example, this is a centrifuge, say an electrical centrifuge, and firstly there are liquid and the suspended particles are moving here and there all the time. You know that for what special types of liquids or special type of mixtures are used to separate by this method. It is used in the case when the suspended particles in a liquid are too small to be retained by filter paper. As we had seen earlier, that those in the case of suspensions, that they could be easily separated with the help of filter paper. But what about the milk? Milk was a colloidal solution, and we saw that colloidal solutions, particles of colloidal solutions cannot be separated by the use of filter paper. Now how will we separate the particles of milk? So for this we are going to use the method of centrifugation. Yeah, we are going to use the method of separation, this centrifugation. So in milk, what happens? There are very tiny particles, very small particles, which cannot be seen with the help of naked eyes. You will need a microscope to see all these particles. So what will happen? As we cannot separate this by any filter paper or something, we are using now what happens in centrifugation, that the here is an equipment which starts rotating. If we are talking about electrical centrifugation, this equipment, this part of this machine starts rotating very fast, and the speed is so fast that the liquid particles will remain in between and the solid particles will move away from the center. The solid particles, for example, these are the solid particles which were suspended earlier homogeneously in that mixture. But right now, after centrifugation, after rotating these particles at a high speed, only liquid will remain at the center and the solid particles will come at the corners. So this is what happens in centrifugation, and in centrifugation the force responsible for this process is called centrifugal force. Centrifugal force. Now what is centrifugal force? Centrifugal force is the force which is required for the rotation of any particular thing um, around some other thing. For example, you have seen the working of washing machine. Almost everyone has a washing machine at their homes. So during spinning, why is spinning used in the washing machines? To soak out the water, and so that all the water comes out from the all the clothes, and the clothes become drier in comparison to earlier. So what happens when spinning is done? The equipment, the part of the machine which is present at the center. For example, this is the washing machine, and the part of the this part of the machine starts rotating at a high speed, and due to the rotation at a high speed, all the cloths just gather at the corners of the machine, and the water comes in between, and when the water comes in between, all the water just comes out of the machine. So did you get the idea what is happening in centrifugation?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
must have understood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the principle of centrifugation? इसका principle क्या है? That when a mixture is rotated very fast, जब किसी mixture को आप बहुत ज़्यादा fast rotate करेंगे, the denser particles are forced to go to the bottom of the centrifuge. For example, let us say this is a milk mixture. This is the mixture of milk. Not mixture, let us consider this is milk. And you know that in milk, very small particles are suspended which cannot be retained by filter paper. So we are going to use centrifugation method for the separation of those suspended particles. So this is the centrifugation time, as you can see. As we do the centrifugation, after some time, say after 1 minute, the particles are coming downwards. The particles are coming downwards. After the other 5 minutes, more particles are settling down. Say after more 10 minutes, almost all the particles, all the solid particles have settled down at the bottom, and at the top only the liquid particle remains. So this is the process which is used for the formation of buttermilk also. Buttermilk also you must have drunk. अब तो market में भी आने लग गया Amul buttermilk and other brands also. So
Yes, ma'am.
how this buttermilk is made? In our houses also we form the butter. Butter बनाने के बाद the remaining liquid that we call the buttermilk. So how? You see that this method is used in that case also. Out of the cream we have separated the butter and the buttermilk. Did you know that in that from that cream we could retain that water also? हमें उसमें से सिर्फ butter हमें मिल गया, that sticky material, and all of that water just separated out, and that happened with the help of this method which is known as centrifugation. Now what is the application of centrifugation, where this centrifugation method is used? So it can be used in dairies to separate cream from milk, and the second most important method is in the washing machines to squeeze out the water from wet cloths. So these are the physical significance of centrifugation method, where we are using it daily in our lives, and we don't even realize what kind of principle is being used behind this. So now onwards, whenever you see your washing machine working, it should come in your mind that this centrifugation method is being used for separating out the water from those wet cloths. So this was all about the centrifugation. Now the next method of separation which we are using, and yes, you have to remember that all of these methods are physical methods of separation. You don't have to consider these as the chemical methods, as we are not using any type of chemical in this. Okay, so these all are the physical methods of separation. Now the second physical method of separation is called separating funnel. This is done by using a special type of equipment which is known as separating funnel, and this is used to separate a mixture of two immiscible liquids. Immiscible means both of them are liquids. We are not saying that one is solid and other is liquid and something is gas. Both of them are liquids and they are immiscible. About immiscible also I had given you in the test. So immiscible liquids are the liquids which do not dissolve in each other, although both of them are liquids. We must be thinking that हमारे मन में ये आता है कि अगर दोनों liquids हैं, they will be readily dissolved with each other, but it doesn't happen. there are certain liquids which don't dissolve with each other. Instead of the thing that both of them are liquids. So this separating funnel is used to separate the mixture of two immiscible liquids, for example, oil and water. Now what happens in this? That the dense particles, the dense liquid will settle down at the lower layer. The denser the particle, the denser the liquid, the lower it will settle down. It's not necessary that we have taken just two liquids. We can take more liquids also. There are many types of liquids. Acetone is there, alcohol is there, water is there. This maybe mustard oil you can take, kerosene oil you can take, any type of liquid you can take. And if you put them in the separating funnel, in this funnel what happens, that the high density liquid will settle down at the lower layer and the low density liquid will form the upper layer. And after this what we can do, we can just open this tap. There is a tap here, and if we open this tap, all that high density liquid we can collect in a certain container, and after that high density liquid get, only the low density liquid will remain. And if we are having, for example, we are having three mixtures, for example we are having three liquids, and this is the, for example, this is the separating funnel, this is the separating funnel, and here we have the tab. This is the first liquid, then this is the other liquid, and after this there is the third liquid. Now this liquid has the highest density. Now what is density? Can anyone tell me what is density?
Mass per unit volume.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, mass per unit volume.
Yes.
But what does it exactly mean? Mass per unit volume. This is the formula of density. What does it exactly mean? How will you define this density? Density of any material. For example, I have taken a solid over here. Say this is an iron. This is an iron piece. So how will you define the density of iron? So density we can define then. Density we can define like this. We have seen that density is mass per unit volume. It means in 1 centimeter cube of volume, you see that every solid material has a volume in it. If it is a three-dimensional figure, every three-dimensional figure has a volume, and two-dimensional figures have the areas. So if I have taken a block of iron, then I will see, for example, this block I have taken, and this is 1 centimeter cube. Now this 1 centimeter cube contains how much mass? For example, this 1 centimeter cube contains 1 kg mass. Say just for an example. Then this density, what will be the value of density? Mass is 1 kg and volume is 1 centimeter cube. Then it will come out to be 1 kg per centimeter cube. This will come out the density of that iron block. So this is how we define the density, that we have taken a particular area, particular volume, means 1 centimeter cube volume I have taken, and then we will check in that 1 centimeter cube or 1 meter cube, the unit can be anything, how much mass is present. So that is how we are going to define density. So in this also, the low density liquid will form the upper layer and the high density liquid will form the lower layer. And after the tap is turned on, the high density liquid will just be collected in this container, and we can separate the low density liquids if in the other container. And if more than two liquids are there, we can just separate one by one. That means the high density liquid first, the most dense liquid will form the lowest layer, and the second most dense liquid, then the third most dense liquid, and so on. So this is how the separating funnel is used. This is the use of the separating funnel. Now it can be used for the separation of oil and water. It can also be used for the extraction of iron from its ore. Ore is the impure substance. You must have studied in SST or social science, geography.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you have studied about the ore in geography. Ore is the impure material out of which we take out the pure metals, and the remaining material is called slag, I guess. So the lighter slag materials are removed from the आयरन ओर. आयरन ओर होता है हमारे पास सबसे पहले, और इसमें से हम स्लैग को, हाउ कैन वी रिमूव द स्लैग? वी कैन रिमूव द स्लैग बाय यूजिंग द separating funnel. And you don't have to, if you are thinking that how can we separate the solid slag or solid ore, it is after we turn them into a molten state. We have provided the heat to the iron ore, and after it turns into a molten state, only after that we can we can separate the slag and the pure iron from that ore. So there also this separating funnel can be used. So two methods of separation we have studied today: centrifugation and separating funnel. Two or three more methods are also there that will be covered in the next class. Okay, so this is all for today.